Greetings, miracle makers. Wonderful to be back with our classic miracle number 17. These next two classic miracles are going to be about other people and stories that have really inspired me over the years. Because when we see somebody who's, made it in professional sports or politics or entertainment, often we will assume that anybody with that much talent just had this kind of a ride to the top, and it's almost never the case. But it's especially never the case with comedians. I found that comedians, which is going to be this miracle and the next one, often find their comedy from hardship. In other words, they had to find a way to laugh so they didn't cry. And so the first one I'm going to tell you about is Ellen DeGeneres. Ellen, I don't think came out, even realized she was gay all that young. But at some point, she did, and obviously she did a lot of courageous things in coming out to the world. One of the first professional entertainers to do so. But this isn't about that. This is about a very challenging time in her personal life. So she was 21, and she just graduated from college, and she was living with a friend in an apartment, and she just called her best friend. Life was going on okay. She was making some money. She wasn't a comedian at the time. I don't remember what she was doing, but she'd actually never been a stand-up comedian at that time in her life and didn't think of herself as particularly funny. So she's going along with her life, and one day she comes home to the phone ringing, and the person on the other end of the phone said, "There's been an accident. Please come to the hospital." And that day, her best friend and her roommate died from a car accident. Ellen didn't have enough money to continue renting the apartment, so within a month, she had moved into the basement of someone's home. And the way she describes the one-room apartment in that basement is pretty dire. I don't remember if there were any windows, but she was sleeping on a mattress in this basement, and immediately she found out that she wouldn't be able to sleep because of the fleas. So you can imagine the depression, right? The despair, the whoa, what is there left in my life? I'm completely, penniless, and it looked like hopeless. But she got out a pad and a pen, and she said, okay, everything has a purpose in life. What the heck is the purpose of a flea? And she said, I think the person I got to go ask is God. So she wrote on her pad a letter to God asking him what was the purpose of fleas. And she said, for like half an hour. And it just flowed out of her. And when she was finished, she looked at it and she said, I'm funny. This is funny. I could be a comedian. But she didn't just want to be a comedian. She went immediately to a major miracle in her life. She said, I want to be the first female comedian that Johnny Carson asks to come sit on the couch. Now, for those of you, younger than 60, who the heck is Johnny Carson? Johnny Carson was late night television for maybe 30, 35 years. He was not just the biggest name in late night. He was the biggest name in television. Johnny Carson was the king. And he was hysterically funny himself, but he would give comedians their start. So people like Jerry Seinfeld, I remember very well watching his very first audition on Johnny Carson. So you kind of tried your best on Johnny Carson. If you made it on Johnny Carson, you made it. And if you didn't, maybe you still had a chance, maybe not. At any rate, being asked to come over and sit next to Johnny while he interviewed people for the rest of the show was the highest honor, and no woman had ever been asked. So remember, Ellen DeGeneres is 21. So when I think it was about 5 years later, so she starts her stand-up comedy routine and she starts doing the circuit, which is not a fun life. And she gets discovered and invited at, we'll say 27, to be on Johnny Carson. So she goes out and she does her routine. It's pretty fun to watch. Just Google Ellen DeGeneres first stand-up Johnny Carson, big breakthrough Johnny Carson, whatever you want to call it. And at the end of her sharing her letter to God about fleas, Johnny Carson asks her over and she sits next to him and he says, "That was really good." And she said, "It means the world to me to hear you say that." Okay, we'll do one more comedian next miracle. See you then.